Welcome back to the 411 Podcasting Network. I am your host, Larry Csonka, and this is episode 81 of the 411 on Wrestling Podcast. You can follow us on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, YouTube, 411mania.com, and any major podcasting platform. Please make sure to subscribe to our show, share us around on social media, and if you have time, please leave us a 5-star review on the podcasting platform of your choice. Back from his Sunday off is Jeremy Lambert joining me today. Jeremy, how are you, my friend?
I'm tired. It was a long WrestleKingdom weekend, 3 nights, 3 early nights or late nights, depending on how you look at it. I feel like I'm getting sick, but I'm alive, and that's what matters.
That's all that matters. Yeah, it was a long weekend. I thought it was a great weekend, and you didn't get to do the show Sunday, which I got to do with Ian Hamilton from BackBodyDrop.com. We had a really good time. I thought, again, great weekend. I know you wanted to share some WrestleKingdom thoughts here before we get into Dash, so what would you like to talk about?
Hiromu and Ospreay ruled. The great Sasuke special spot was amazing. Absolutely amazing. Kota and Okada ruled. The finishing stretch was awesome. Serial killer Kota is awesome. And Naito and Okada also ruled. And I don't know if I can pick a favorite out of those three, but I want to go with Okada and Kota. I don't know, that closing stretch just really, really got to me. And again, serial killer Kota. Okada with the thighs. Why was he not wearing these shorts his entire career? This is a good-looking man, Larry.
Well, I know. I mean, they really should have also labeled this match a handsome battle.
Yeah.
Like the Kota and Cody match from years ago. But, Okada busting out the extra short boys this time for WrestleKingdom. He's feeling cheeky.
He's got to wear those just all the time moving forward. That's a very good-looking man. And, Naito winning, which was, I guess, the plan all along. And, we discussed how maybe the time had passed, but I mean, when he won, crowd was into it. Crowd was into him the whole time. So I think in the end, it turned out to be the right call. And I'm not sure they could have really made a mistake because the company is really hot right now. And they shot the angle with Kenta and everything. So it was a long 2 shows, but some excellent wrestling highlighted by the 3 matches that I mentioned. But there was some other good match. The junior heavyweight tag team title match was really good. Liger retiring. The Legends match was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. Those old guys worked their asses off, and Sasuke got killed on a kick. And Liger retiring. So just a long weekend, but still a lot of great stuff from it.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed the hell out of the weekend. And the 3 matches you mentioned, I loved each of them. I went the full boat, 5 stars on all 3 of those. And I was in love with all 3 of them for different reasons.
Marry, fuck, kill Okada, Kota, Okada, Naito, and Ospreay and Hiromu.
Probably marry that Okada Ibushi match. Probably fuck Hiromu and Will's match, and unfortunately, the Naito match is such a great moment and everything, but like, I think that out of the 3, I liked it the least, even though I went 5 on it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it was, like you said, though, it's a great moment, and I think so people don't get the total wrong idea. When we talked about it being too late, we never thought it was too late for the moment. It was more, is it still the right time to give Naito any kind of substantial title run? He's been a little broken down the past couple of years. He's feeling the effects of his career and everything, and that was, I think, our big major concern. But yeah, you can't dispute the moment at the end. I mean, it was huge, and it's even better. If you look on Twitter, there's some fan videos from the Dome, and it's there's one from like really far back, like probably like the first level up, but you see all the floor seats, and everybody's like half sitting and stuff, and then you hear the 1, 2, 3, and everybody just erupts up. And it's such a great visual, and it was obviously a tremendous moment. It's a culmination, really, and Ian and I talked about this. When you think about it, it goes back even further than the 2 years. It goes back really almost 7 years to when they had the Dome show to where they voted on what the main event was going to be, and Naito was voted out of the main event. And it goes back, and it's this huge character arc. And you brought up the Kenta thing. And I saw a lot of people sour on this. What did you think of that?
I wasn't really I wasn't that sour. I thought it was because it created such good heat that I really liked it. You know, if the crowd had just been like dead silent and more upset than angry that we didn't get the big Naito celebration, then it would have seemed like a misfire. But like Kenta, he got really good heat out of it, and Kevin Kelly sold it really well. That man did an awesome job. I really like the 4-man announce booth the entire 2 nights. WWE does the 3-man announce booth, and it sucks most of the time. And you get this 4-man booth, and I thought they pulled it off really well.
I think Kevin Kelly did an excellent job producing those guys because they weren't stomping all over each other all night.
No. They all had defined roles. Like, you know, Kevin Kelly's the play-by-play guy. Charlton is like, he gives all the backstory, the history, and everything for fans that don't know. Rocky, when he was there, is kind of the guy with the in-ring experience, who's the baby face, and then Gino is the in-ring experience heel, so they play off of each other. Like, they all had really nice defined roles, and I think that helped as well. Where in WWE, it's like, all right, you got your play-by-play guy, you got your color guy, the other person is just there to try to sneak in lines when they can. And if it's someone like Renee Young, that's not what she's good at. When Samoa Joe was doing commentary, it worked because Joe can give you it's a similar dynamic, because I think the 3-man booth with Joe, Lawler, and Vic Joseph wasn't too bad. And it's because if you have 2 like really good color guys who have been in the ring and can add that perspective, it works a lot better than, unfortunately, for Renee Young, who doesn't have the wrestling experience, and that just wasn't the suited role for her, so she couldn't add kind of that perspective from things.
I agree, and I like the Kenta thing because the one complaint is, well, he just lost his title. How is he going to get a title shot? Well, he's going to get a title shot because he kicked the shit out of Naito and ruined his fucking moment. And then for the people that were complaining about that he didn't get his celebration moment, he got the moment. He got his title win. That was the moment everybody wanted. I don't think anybody really cared about the celebration. Yeah, it's nice when he does the little roll call and they all celebrate. But the fact is, this came off really well because if you look again at Naito's whole character arc since LIJ started and he changed from the Stardust dude to, into Los Ingobernables Naito, nothing has ever been easy for him. He has moments of validation and celebration, and then he has just as many roadblocks and things that ruin the moments thrown in his way. And that's kind of what makes the Naito character work, I think. So I think that's why it came off really well. And like you said, it would have been different if the crowd shit on it, or if the crowd was silent, then it doesn't work. But Kenta got like legit heat. They fucking hated him. And as we're going to talk when we talk about Dash, that carried over into Dash big time as well.
Yeah. And one last thing on the Kenta attack. Where was LIJ? Bushi just sauntered down after Kenta's already kicked this man's ass. Like, where the hell were you guys?
Bullet Club locked him in the locker room with a forklift.
Maybe. I mean, at least that makes sense. Like, give me something though. Like, where were these guys? Tell me that they were drunk, because they'd all won titles except for poor Sonata. They'd all won titles earlier in the weekend and stuff. Like, give me something that they couldn't be out there to help their man.
Yeah, I hope we do get an explanation. But I mean, again, the angle came off extremely well, and I really liked it. And the thing is too is like. The other thing is, I think, here's my thing is, I try not to stumble here, but I think people would have been pissed if they would have right away said, okay, Okada had this great match, and Naito's like, I'm going to give Okada a rematch. They would have been like, fuck, again? And then if they would have been like, okay, we're to give Ibushi a match. Well, fucking Ibushi lost, and we've seen that recently, so it's like, you don't want to see that either, really. And then you don't want to see the Jay White match either, because he just beat Jay White. So you need someone else to step up to be that first challenger, to be the guy that loses to Naito to kick off his run. And Kenta got great heat out of it, and I think it's going to work well.
Poor Goto. All this guy had to do was go out there and attack this man. Like, you beat Kenta. Go just attack Naito. If Goto had known it was that easy, he would have done it.
Goto was drunk with Sanada, or with Shingo and Evil, man. They were partying in the back with their new titles, cheering beers with Moxley.
I guess.
So, by the way, on night 2, what did you think of the Suzuki-Moxley standoff, dude?
Oh, that was my favorite moment on all 2 nights. Like, just Moxley, talking his shit after beating Juice, and Moxley, was coming off 2 really good matches and good performances, and he's talking this shit like he owns Tokyo Dome and owns New Japan, and then fucking Suzuki's music hits, and he come out there and he rips off his track pants and his jacket, and he's ready to fuck shit up with Moxley, and Moxley, oh yeah, I can't wait for that.
The best thing is they set this up so well on night 1. Because when Suzuki-gun came out for that 8-man tag, they didn't play Suzuki's music, and everybody was like, oh, what the fuck? And then there's been speculation for like 6 months that Suzuki might be on his way out of New Japan. So everybody's like, well, they didn't play Suzuki's music, he wasn't focused on in the match at all, and like he's not involved in night 2. And so then the big speculation was, are they going to like boot him out of Suzuki-gun on Dash, and then he's going to be done? And then on night 2, that music hits, dude, and holy shit. That place went fucking nuts. They're singing along. Suzuki, he comes out, he saunters out, he has that maniacal smile on his face, rips off the tracksuit, shit was on. That was great. I was into that big time. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, it definitely was awesome. Like that, again, that was my favorite moment of the entire 2 nights, because it was those 2 guys rule, and Moxley wanted to work with Suzuki, and so I'm glad he's getting that chance. And I mean, I'm sure Suzuki will have fun with Moxley as well, because Moxley he can take it.
Oh yeah. Anything else on WrestleKingdom before we move on, Jeremy?
I don't think so. That was pretty much the big kind of happenings there, so I'm good.
All right, so we'll move on to New Year's Dash. We'll kind of run through this whole thing here again, because I already did Wrestle Kingdom with Ian. So New Year's Dash is it's always the show that you either get like a really huge angle or they set up a ton of shit. And we didn't get necessarily a huge angle, but they set up a ton of stuff on this show. The first thing first, though, is we started off with the Jushin Liger retirement ceremony. Liger, again, going out, total legend, opening matches every night, opening up the show with the retirement ceremony, because, in his opinion, he didn't think he deserved to be in the main event because everybody else was staying. And I thought this was really great. Liger's out there in his gear, his babyface roster's out, and they're celebrating with him in the ring and taking photos. He gets presented flowers, there's handshakes and hugs for all. And then, like, the random assemblage of babyfaces left and Chaos arrived. And we got more flowers and handshakes, the big group photo op, and Big Kaz Okada also had to pull out his cell phone to get a big group selfie, which I died at.
Yeah, Okada's out here taking mark pics with Liger.
So, and then we got some New Japan officials appearing for flowers and handshakes. Liger's wife and son arrived, and that started breaking people right there. You read the timelines on Twitter and stuff, that's where people were losing it. And it didn't get any better because his family comes out and he's embracing with them, and then they showed Tanahashi crying. And it's like, oh, it's getting misty in here. Jeremy Onion's being cut. They shot to the big screen. We got a big message from Antonio Inoki to Liger. And that led to Liger taking the mic, talking about his final, his debut in Tokyo Dome and finishing up the day before. He was grateful for his entire 31 years in the crowd. The wrestler Liger is finished, but New Japan will carry on and continue to grow and thrive without him. He said the other thing about last night was that his mother was there, and she was also at Dash, and they showed Mama Liger up in the crowd. Then he said to his wife and son, "I've made you lonely for 31 years, but now I'm coming home, and you'll have to deal with me, so thank you all." They did a 10-bell salute for his career. They played the Liger theme music, and everybody's hugging in the ring. Tanahashi gets in to stop the music for a minute, and he told the crowd to sing along, and then Tanahashi and Liger did some karaoke to close it out. It was fucking great.
It was a fantastic ceremony. I'm glad they didn't shoot any type of an angle off of this. People were worried about it. I didn't think they were going to, but you never know, and people were certainly worried about it. But it didn't happen. Just a great ceremony with everybody celebrating the life and times of Jushin Liger, and now he can ride off with losses under his belt. This big old loser losing in his final matches. It was a great ceremony, and I liked the Okada selfie where Tanahashi tried to get people singing, and they weren't knowing this song. When Tanahashi retires, people will sing along to his song a lot better.
Probably, yeah. And I agree. I'm also glad that there was no angle, and it was just a nice, pure, wholesome moment. I mean, obviously, I think if they asked Liger to do an angle, he would have done it and got laid out by somebody. But I'm glad that they didn't, and it was great. A great culmination to a career and weekend for him.
They could have had Kenta do it, so you set up another Kenta match that can't take place.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were waiting for Phantasmo to do something, because he's been on Liger's case since like Super J-Cup and stuff like that, and after they lost their match on night 2, they were doing interviews backstage, and he's like, "Yeah, we lost and blah, 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 but we're still going to be around, so Liger can go fuck off and go home now." He's like such a dick. So, but a lot of people were expecting that, but again, thankfully we didn't get it. So we moved on to the in-ring action. We started off with Young Lions and Hanari in action. Carl Fredericks, Coughlin, and Clark Connors defeated Hanari, Uemura, and Tsuji 10:45 via submission. Thought it was a good little opening match. Lions always work with great intensity. I was actually only real takeaway, I guess, is I was surprised Hanari didn't win after he picked up a win at the Dome.
Yeah, I got no problem with Fredericks winning. I think that's the guy.
No, I have no problem with it. It's just I was a little surprised.
Right. Fredericks is a guy they clearly see as a star. Moving forward for the next however long, he's probably gonna get maybe a big match or two on the USA cards whenever those things get announced, even though they take place in like 2 weeks. Hanari looked good though in this match, and I really like Fredericks and Hanari. I think they're going to be big players for New Japan. And a lot of these guys looked really good. And then, of course, you got Shota coming back at some point from his excursion. And Ren as well. My boy Ren coming back from excursion at some point. Yeah,
Ren Narita is on excursion into UK along with Hikuleo and the Great Okaran, which was Oko. And Narita is in US right now, and then we also have Kawato, who's still in CMLL, so all will eventually come back at some point. And right now, I mean, I'm digging that they're getting the New Japan or the LA Dojo Lions on more cards like they have throughout the second half of 2019. I thought that was really important for those guys because while I think Shibata's done a great job with them, I mean, you're only going to learn so much in dojo training and some indie stuff as opposed to getting on the regular Japan cards, which is why you see the New Japan Lions progress so quickly because, they're losing every night in 9-10 minute matches, but they're always working with experienced guys and always getting that chance to grow, which the LA Lions really need, and I'm glad that they've gotten it. I think that's super important going forward.
They get claw chopped by Kojima every night.
That's right. We moved on next to a rare four-way match, which, it's New Year's Dash, and as long as you don't do them all the time, I think it's a fun idea to do just to mix things up. Junior tag teams, Desperado and Kanemaru defeated Roppongi 3K, Bushi and Hiromu, and Ishimori and Phantasmo at 13:50, with Despy and Kanemaru pinning 3K. They pinned Show, actually, and so that should set up a tag title match moving forward. Your thoughts on the match, Jeremy?
Yeah, it set up the future program for the new champions and now their new challengers. It was a good match. I mean, they took it easy compared to the tag team bout between Bullet Club and Roppongi the night before, and I can't really say that I blame them. But overall, this was a match to get some other stuff set up, and it worked.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. I thought it was fun. And again, I don't want New Japan busting out triple threats and four ways all the time, but throwing it like on Dash like this, I think is a good idea because Dash is always a special card and does some different things. So I thought it was a fine idea for the night. And again, I like that they went with new challengers right away as well instead of going back to Ishimori and Phantasma right away.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I mean, they need some teams in these divisions.
And next up, we had Kota Ibushi, Hiroshi Tanahashi, Juice Robinson, and David Finlay defeating the Bullet Club team of the Guerrillas of Destiny, Chase Owens, and Bad Luck Fale, 11:45 via pin. Thought they had a good little match. Kota picked up a rebound win, and the important thing is I was afraid that they were going to have the Guerrillas of Destiny win to set up an immediate tag title rematch, which they didn't because the babyfaces won. And then post-match, Jeremy, it appears we have a new tag team in the Golden Aces of Kota Ibushi and Tanahashi, and they challenged FinJuice for a tag title match and signed me up for that.
Yeah, Kota's cheating on Kenny. A year later, he's gotten over him. He's got a new best friend, the man who defeated Kenny in Kenny's last New Japan match. Another kind of paint-by-numbers match for me. And again, these, especially Kota, like, I don't know how Kota was still alive after the weekend he had. Like, he deserved to take the night off. And Tanahashi worked a tough match against Jericho. So and Juice worked 2 matches over the weekend. So these guys, it was a solid effort, but they clearly weren't giving a full effort in there. But as you said, the big thing coming out of this was Kota and Tanahashi now kind of downgrading themselves into the tag team division. But it's good because we've talked about it many times. There's not much going on in these tag divisions. And so if you can take 2 stars like Kota and Tanahashi and put them down there for a couple of months, let some other guys filter into the main event as well, let Juice and Finlay get an established rivalry with 2 of the biggest stars in the company. I think that helps as well. So I liked what they did here.
I do too. I saw some people complaining about it, and I don't see why, because my feeling was Tanahashi and Okada and Ibushi lost at the Dome. They're directionless right now. It's like, what do they do? So they come together, they have this match, they win, and then they're like, you know what? We didn't win the big titles or anything. We didn't win at WrestleKingdom. Let's do this. And I'm fine for the occasional superstar tag team being made. And like I said, and you said, the tag team divisions need a lot of work. I have no problem with this. It might be a short-term thing. If it's a little longer-term, that's okay too. And if FinJuice end up beating them first match out for their tag title run, that's fucking huge for those guys. They're a really good tag team. They're really fun. And I think they'll probably have a great match, I think.
Yeah, I think they'll have a really great match too. I mean, Kota's gonna work hard. Juice and Finlay in this spot. I mean, they're gonna work hard on most nights, but certainly in this spot they're gonna work hard. And Tanahashi's Tanahashi. Like, anything he does is going to get over because he only has to do half the heavy lifting here. He'll probably have more in the tank too. So
exactly,
it'll probably be a really good match.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And we should have match stuff coming up for the New Beginning stuff in the next couple days, I believe. Sticking with possible additions to the tag team division, even though they built singles matches out of this, we had a fucking great match up next as Shingo and Evil defeated Big Tom Ishii and Hiroki Goto 640 via pin. Jeremy, your thoughts?
Love this match. I want to see a triple threat out of it between Shingo, Goto, and Ishii. Sorry, Evil. But that's the match that I want to see. And I know New Japan rarely does triple threat matches, but man, I would really love to see that match. These boys, they did not take the night off. They went out there and they were looking to murder each other and hit each other very hard. And that's exactly what they did. A stiff match, but a really good match, really good action. I like what they're, Shingo, he's a never 6-man champion now, and no one cares about that stupid titles. Even the announcers are making fun how these things never get defended. But I like him going after the open weight title, because we've talked about for a while, that open weight title should be open weight. And I know Shingo technically moved up to heavyweight, but there can be a potential bridge there. And like that's what I want to see. I want to see that bridge into some juniors getting that never open weight title shot.
Yeah, that would definitely be great. I thought the match was great, just a great hoss battle, never slowed up, and the important stuff, obviously, it sets up Shingo to challenge Goto as he pinned him here. The work was just so good throughout. The action had an awesome sense of urgency to it. And it was one of those matches that remind you that when New Japan wants to, they can do tag team wrestling really well. The match also played perfectly off the past singles battles between all these four guys. Revisiting Goto and Shingo makes complete sense because they had great matches. I'm all on board Shingo getting some kind of singles push, obviously, this year. Looks like we may also get Evil versus Ishii in a revisit as well, which was a good feud, and they had great matches. And on I guess on a side note, while not a perfect solution, I would not hate these guys ending up in the tag ranks occasionally. Because Shingo and Evil were fucking great. Number one, they were great. Number two, it's different than Evil and Sonata. And Ishii and Goto are a great tag team as well, and it's better than the Ishii or Yoshihashi tag team. So it's like, you could do a lot there. So I like it a lot. Shingo made the official challenge post-match. And again, possibly coming up on the New Beginning stuff. Love it.
Yeah. Again, the match was great. Set up some more stuff. That's what this show was about, setting up the future.
That's right. We had a big 8-man tag up next. Big Kaz Okada, Will Ospreay, Robbie Eagles, and Yoshihashi defeated Minoru Suzuki, Lance Archer, Zack Sabre Jr., and Taichi 1540 via DQ. The DQ came when Taichi busted out the Iron Fingers and nailed Okada with it. I really liked this match. Not as much as the previous match, but I thought it was really good. It was fun. And again, we set things up. They set up Okada and Taichi, which Okada lost the title. He's not going to go right back for it, so you need to get him into some kind of feud. And as we saw last year, Taichi, when he's more serious and dangerous T, he does deliver. So they set up Okada and Taichi. They set up, looks like they were setting up Zack and Will for a match as well. And I think that's really great because they did a lot of stuff in the UK, and they haven't done it in New Japan because they were always in separate divisions. So I think it's very interesting that they may move forward with that.
Yeah, another multi-man tag match that set up some stuff. Okada and Taichi, I think, can be good as long as Taichi is ready to work, and he doesn't play the bullshit heel stalling gimmick nonsense that no one likes. Ospreay and Zack Sabre will be awesome if that's the direction that they're gonna go, and it certainly looks like it as well. So they're setting up stuff for the future, and I like this match. Some guys, Ospreay took it easy. He heads the reported heel injury. He did that hot start, and then he was kind of donezo. Okada kind of a little bit faded into the background because he had a rough weekend, but that's what you're going to see out of Dash sometimes, especially since they did 2 nights here.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, especially because Okada worked like fucking 70 minutes on 2 nights, so man needs a break for sure. And Robbie Eagles worked the bulk of it. He was a great babyface in peril.
Yeah, Robbie Eagles was really good, and he was a guy who didn't have a big weekend, so he had a little bit more in the tank.
Yeah. And then post-match, we had a big angle. Taichi was looking to lay out Okada with the last rod, but Jon Moxley arrived, and I don't think a lot of people were expecting Mox to still be in Japan on Monday. But he arrived and he came face to face with Suzuki. They talked some shit. They brawled a bit. Moxley laughed at Suzuki. They slapped each other. They beat the hell out of each other. And Moxley hit the Death Rider to lay him out and got some revenge for WrestleKingdom Night 2. And the best part about this is not just that it was 2 guys kicking the shit out of each other, but it's such a simple and pure pro wrestling build. Suzuki is a bastard. Jon Moxley is an asshole. They both like beating the shit out of people. Suzuki sees that Jon Moxley has a championship, lays him out, beats the shit out of him. I want your title. It's not fucking rocket science. You don't need a bunch of shit and authority figures making a match. That's all you need from me, you know?
No, it doesn't even... the title aspect doesn't feel like a factor to me. I feel like it's just Suzuki sees this dude who thinks he's tough shit and the toughest man in the company, and he's like, fuck that, that's me. I'm gonna go murder him. Like, that's the story to me. It's just like one guy is a legit badass and he knows it, and he knows he's just he was the bastard, I think you mentioned. And he sees this other guy who is, he thinks he's all coming in here and he's gonna run the territory, and Suzuki's like, no, like, fuck that nonsense. I'm gonna come in here and whoop your ass if you think you're so tough. Like, that's the story. It's awesome.
So again, this match and post-match segment, again, a lot of work. You set up Okada and Taichi, probably Zack and Will, and then you continued to build to the Suzuki versus Moxley match. So again, good work being done to set up future stuff.
Yeah. And
then our main event was Kenta and Jay White versus Naito and Sanada. Naito and Sanada won at 14:05 via pin. I thought they had a good little match. Obviously, nobody working super hard because everybody worked a lot over the weekend. Nothing wrong with it. Some decent floor brawling and stuff like that. And the big thing was the post-match where Jay White low-blowed Sanada. Kenta beat the shit out of Naito. They got chairs and beat him down. Then they took the mic and celebrated and everything. And Jay White said he wanted to bring Sanada back to reality and beat his ass. Kenta mocked Naito. And so again, we set up another match. Sanada and Jay White, both guys looking for momentum to get back near title shots. And continuing Kenta and Naito, which they started at night 2 of the Dome. So again, not a match you have to go out of your way to see, but I thought it was good enough. And the post-match was the important stuff because you set up another match and you continued another feud, which is what this show did really well, I thought.
Yeah, Sanada winning, pinning Jay White. I think people thought that was kind of an upset. I didn't fully expect it, but at the same time, it wasn't something that it completely shocked me because you weren't having Naito lose. Jay White, I guess he could take a loss, but you're probably not like beating Kenta here either. I think the general consensus was that Sanada would lose, but that didn't happen, and he pinned Jay White, and so that sets up that program. You got the potential dissension in the Bullet Club. A lot of people are predicting that, and I mean, they seemed on the same page here. Jay White said, like, you didn't think I know that was going to happen? Like, he's basically saying, like, I ordered that hit. Like, everything's good. And so another match that set up some stuff for the future.
Yeah, Ian and I lightly talked about the Bullet Club stuff. It will be interesting to see if that ends up being kind of like a story throughout the year, and if because I think a lot of people think it'll eventually be Jay White ousted at some point, but we'll see what happens. It'll be interesting, and I think you can, they, like you said, they acted like everything was cool, but, Gato was still pulling the all for one thing at the beginning, and, it's, I thought I had a really good, I hate when I lose track of my thoughts. I should have wrote more shit down. But anyway, it's like, both of these guys are bastards. They're not going to stay on the same level. And if Jay White doesn't get back to the title soon, or at least in the mix for it, it'll be interesting to see if he snaps or if he's ousted or how they do it. I think there's some good possibilities for storytelling there. I'm kind of looking forward to that.
Yeah, definitely.
Overall, though, I thought Dash was a really good show. Good in the ring all night. You set up Suzuki Gun versus Roppongi 3K, Finn Juice versus Golden Aces, Shingo versus Goto, Evil versus Ishii, Taichi versus Okada, Will versus Zack, Sanada versus Jay. You continued Moxley and Suzuki as well as Naito and Kenta. I think just a quality night of work coming out of Wrestle Kingdom. And you had 2 excellent Wrestle Kingdom shows. And then, obviously Dash is never going to be on that level, but I thought it was a really good, really strong show that served a lot of masters to set up things moving forward, which is what it needed to be.
It definitely set up a lot of things moving forward, just pretty much all the major title programs, which is a big thing. Yeah, the wrestling work wasn't on the level of the Wrestle Kingdom stuff, but that's to be expected. A lot of these guys wrestled tough matches at least one of the nights. Some of these guys wrestled 2 nights, so it was a long weekend for those guys, and we still got the great tag team match with Shingo and Evil against Ishii and Goto, so like there still was a really excellent tag team match on this show that you should go out of your way to see. there was no big angle. People mentioned like, oh, look, they did all of this stuff. Like, yes, I agree they did all of this stuff. None of this stuff was on the level of, AJ getting kicked out of Bullet Club, Return of Suzuki-gun, even Jericho's attack, which was a big surprise. Like Moxley, people didn't expect him, but they knew he'd be back in New Japan because he has the title. Like after Jericho lost to Kenny, people thought that was it. Like, it's just like, okay, we're not going to see Jericho in New Japan. This was just a complete one-off for him. And then he showed up the next night at Dash, attacked Naito, and Jay White turning down Bullet Club as well. Like, those are 4 big angles they've shot in the past few years, and they didn't really do anything last year. And, maybe the Elite was supposed to be on that. And they didn't really do a big angle to that level this year as well. They did a lot of stuff. They just didn't have that big angle that I think people have maybe come to expect, and now it's 2 years without it. So if they do it next year, it might come off a little bit bigger.
Yeah, and I agree with that. It probably will if they end up doing something next year. But and I know I saw some people not happy that there wasn't the quote unquote big angle. But again, I thought that they did a lot of great work to set stuff up on the show, and I think that sometimes that's more important than like just the big angle. Yeah, because sometimes you can do the big angle, but maybe you're not setting up a ton of stuff other than that. So, I mean, I'll take a night of overall good in-ring action with a ton of programs set up, because I think that's your goal, because you got big shows coming up.
I don't think it's a bad thing that there wasn't a huge angle on this show, because they did do a lot of different things that were good. So it clicked with me. I definitely thought Sonata maybe turning. That was a big hint, or a big kind of thing people were pushing on, and I could see it. I feel like they're doing something with Sonata with, everybody at LIJ won gold over the weekend except him. He failed to beat Zack Sabre. He did beat Jay White, so that is a good sign. But we'll see when it comes to Sonata. But I've been high on him for a while, and he needs something. He needs that push, needs that title, just needs that big victory, whatever it is. And this could be an opportunity to really do something with him not having gold in LIJ.
It'll be interesting. A lot of people seem to think that this will be the year he gets some kind of big push and made a big deal. And we will see. And you can do a lot of interesting things, because, we've speculated in the past about a possible LIJ split, or just maybe someone leaving. And, you kind of have the setup here with him being the only one without gold. That could be the start of it. And, we'll see going forward. But, a lot of interesting possibilities between that and the maybe Bullet Club splitting, with White and Kenta on top battling out for control. So who knows?
Yeah.
So, all right, we got a busy weekend coming up, Jeremy. We already talked about NXT UK Blackpool, and we have a pay-per-view Sunday night as well. Impact Wrestling Hard to Kill 2020. What appears to be, to me, a mixed bag of a pay-per-view on paper. We'll start off Moose versus Rhino.
It's a match. They're going to spear each other, and that's it.
That's pretty detailed, man. No, it's weird, because they want Moose to be a main event guy so bad, and he's obviously gotten better. He's doing really good heel work. The problem is, though, is like, you put him in there, and he had like a okay match with RBD. He had kind of an okay match with Shamrock. But you're putting him in there, and I get the idea that you're putting him over quote-unquote legends, but he's also not really having anything quality-wise in the ring on these pay-per-views. And
he's just beating old dudes to me.
Yeah. So now he's being put in there with Rhino, and no disrespect to Moose, who I know claims he's the best big man in wrestling. He's not good enough to carry Rhino to a good match. Because
no, not this version of Rhino.
Yeah, Rhino is bland and boring and had bad matches with Elgin, which tells you all you need to know. But Impact has a hard-on for Rhino and the ECW alumni stuff. Don Callis will fucking verbally blowjob him on commentary for as long as this match goes and tell you that Rhino's just as good as he ever was, and he's not. Okay? So, Moose should win. If he doesn't, they're stupid.
I would imagine Moose is winning. I can't get into this match because I don't care about Rhino in now 2020, and I truthfully don't care about Moose because once he lost that match to Aries when he should have been the champion, and that was at his hottest point, they pretty much killed him right then, and then they turned him heel. They basically gave him the Monty Brown treatment, and like I don't care about this guy, and he does fine character work, but he's feuding with a bunch of old dudes. The matches aren't really my cup of tea. Like they're for the most part not that good, and now he's facing the worst of the bunch. Like, all right, at least Van Dam can still do stuff and get some pops. Shamrock, there's a little bit more nostalgia there because he's not wrestling all the time. Like Rhino, he's not good in 2020, and I can't care about this match.
I don't blame you. Next up, we have Madman Fulton versus Ken Shamrock. Madman Fulton's a guy that I think has shown some decent potential here in his Impact run. I've gotten to see a lot more of him than anywhere else. He was very limited in MLW. He's been protected so far, but they've let him loose on some of these specials, and there's something there, I think. Dude is obviously big. He has good agility. And then you have Ken Shamrock. He came back to the company, and granted, for his age, he's in spectacular shape. But let's be honest, dude, it's been a rough go for him. He had an okay match with Moose. He had a bad match with Sami Callihan. He got dick flipped by Joey Ryan. And he's part of this old guard like the ECW guys that at times they shackled to Tessa Blanchard to leech off of her heat, hoping that these guys will look important here. And it's like, no, I don't get it. I have like no high hopes for this match at all. And even worse, I really think they're going to have Ken Shamrock win.
I don't know if they're going to have Ken Shamrock win. This is another match that I don't have much care for. Sorry. Ken Shamrock he's another old dude that I don't care to see on pay-per-view. And Madman Fulton, like, he's not bad. He's a nice big guy for OVE, and so he plays his role well, but like this just isn't the match that I'm gonna be excited for him. Like, let him face Moose. I realize they're both heels, but this just not much of a match to me.
Yeah, not excited for this one. Next up, Rob Van Dam versus Cage. We're sticking with the seniors portion of the card here.
Christian Cage?
No, unfortunately not.
No.
Brian Cage. So we got we got heel RVD versus Cage. Cage is obviously your former world champion. It sits losing the title. He's tumbled down the card, has really no direction. He's been really good in Impact. I think he's delivered some really good matches, especially with Elgin. And he's developed nicely into a top guy, but he's working RVD here. And again, like Rhino, they're going to try to sell you that RVD is this legend who's been as good as he always was, and he's not. His heel stuff is fun, but he's old, he's slow. His trademark stuff doesn't even really pop the crowd all that much anymore, and I can't get into it. And so it's like, you have this match, I'm not into it. Cage will probably work his ass off here. He may even save it to some degree, but I think they're having RVD win because they're kind of all in on this heel RVD thing.
I do like the heel RVD. I will fully admit that. I think I think he's a fun character where he's just like, yep, gonna make out with my girlfriend and my other girlfriend, and we're just gonna interrupt you and get stoned and bang all over the place. It's a douchey kind of gimmick, but it suits him. Brian Cage is a guy that, I've said it many times, like, his Impact work doesn't super excite me. I like him a lot better in Lucha Underground. I can say that about a lot of guys, actually. And he's a guy without a direction right now. He lost the title, and even his title run wasn't that good because he was on the shelf for most of it. So he's really cooled off since he won the title, which was a fairly big moment, beating Morrison or Impact, whatever his name is going by. That was a fairly big moment, and since then it's really been much of nothing since he won that title because of the injuries and then just the lack of direction. Honestly, if RVD wins, that's fine by me. He's a better character right now than Brian Cage.
Yeah, I mean, that's not, you're not wrong. Because Cage is just the big dude that used to be champion. So.
Yeah.
Next up, we get into our first title match here. Champion Taya Valkyrie defending against Jordynne Grace and ODB. Your thoughts?
I would have liked it better if it was Taya against Jordynne Grace. I think that I got a feeling we're going to get the champion doesn't lose pinfall here. And Grace, because like Taya, they put a lot of stock into her, longest reigning women's champion on a single reign and all this stuff. And I don't know if like they want to beat her right now, which is weird. Like she can lose, it's okay. And so I just feel like we're gonna get I think Jordynne Grace pins ODB and gets the victory, gets the title, and then you set up the Jordynne Grace Taya rematch, and maybe Jordynne Grace beats her there. I just feel like it would mean so much more if she just pins her and beats the champion and, gets the title and ends that reign. Like the reign ends that way. I can understand now Taya, if assuming she loses this way, can be like, you never pinned me. It sets up the automatic rematch. But if she's had this extremely long reign, it means more if the champion gets pinned. Maybe they'll surprise me. Maybe Jordynne will pin Taya, or maybe Taya will just win.
Yeah, I agree with you. With all due respect to ODB, I hate that she's added to this match. They were telling the natural story of Jordynne Grace working her way back to a title shot after previously losing to Taya, and it felt like the perfect time to have Grace finally win the title because Taya just hit the 1 year mark as champion. I fully respect Impact for trying to help out ODB with her financial stuff after losing her food truck and everything. And they did those TV tapings and they gave money to her and they booked her here a couple times. That's nice. That's really sweet. That's okay. But I was really looking forward to Taya and Jordynne Grace, which I felt was well booked and I thought they would deliver a good match. And now I honestly have almost no interest in this match. I'm honestly thinking that Taya's going to escape with the championship, pinning ODB, and then they'll continue the feud and maybe Jordynne wins it on TV or something. But yeah, I am not a fan of this being changed to a triple threat at all.
Like, I'm fine with that. If Taya retains, I will have far less of a problem with that, because then you can extend the Jordynne Grace Taya feud a little bit longer, even though she probably wrap that up sooner rather than later. So, if Taya retains, I'm fine with it. If they do the, champion doesn't get pinned type of gimmick, then that's when I'll complain a little bit whenever we do the review podcast. And if ODB wins, then, God help us, because it comes off a little disingenuous, because it's just like, hey, we put the title on her because her food truck burned down. Like, all right, you want to help her out? That's cool. Like, I don't have an issue with all that. Like, she doesn't need the title for all that, especially the way she's been wrestling.
Exactly. Now we're to move into the business portion of the card, Jeremy. Michael Elgin versus Eddie Edwards.
These guys are gonna fight.
We've talked about this a lot. These have been two of the best guys in the company throughout 2019 in terms of delivering match quality. It's Elgin, it's Edwards, Rich Swann. All guys up there delivering great matches. From all accounts, this match is going to also be for Eddie Edwards' title shot that he won at Bound for Glory. He won the gauntlet match, giving him a title shot of his choosing at every time. If I had to guess, I think in-ring wise, this will probably be the best match on the show. You have a lot of possibilities here, because if Eddie Edwards wins and keeps his title shot, there's a possibility maybe he cashes in on Ace Austin to continue that feud and win the X Division title. I think it'll be great. I am looking forward to this probably the most out of anything on the card. I'm going with Big Mike Elgin for the win.
Yeah. I can see Elgin winning this, and I'll tell you why. It's because he's got the title shot. It's for a title shot for any title, right?
Yep.
Okay, I'm just making sure I had my facts straight. I think Elgin could be the one that dethrones Tessa, and I don't know if Tessa's gonna get a long run. And I think that's why you need someone in that position who can like look good in throning her. And Elgin is obviously a big dude, and it comes off very believable if he beats Tessa for the title. And so I think that's what they might end up doing, and that's why I think Elgin's going to win this match. Really looking forward to this. I do think it'll probably be the best match on the show, although the tag team match could surprise.
Next up, we have the Triple X Division Champion, Ace Austin, facing Trey from the Rascals. I think Ace Austin's been really fun as a sleazy douchebag heel and stuff, looking to bang moms and wives and harassing Trey about his mom and stuff. And Trey, Trey's good, obviously. Ace Austin's been really good. I think Ace has had a really good year overall. I think Dez is honestly the better singles wrestler, but he's also part of the better tag team in the Rascals. I don't really mind Trey getting a title shot, but I think they have a really good match. I think Ace Austin retains, but if he does and Eddie keeps his title shot, maybe Eddie cashes in, so don't be surprised. It could get interesting depending on who wins that other match.
I think Ace Austin retains. Too early to take the title off of him. I like what he's doing with his fucking mothers and fucking wives gimmick. It's a little edgy, but I dig that. And Trey, I don't mind Trey. I don't see him as like a breakout star of the Rascals, at least at the moment. I'm not sure at the moment like any three of the guys can be really big breakout stars. I think they're really good as a 6-man team, but I'm not seeing like any of them like separate themselves from the pack. And I think that's why like this Trey's portion of this match doesn't like excite me that much. They've done a good job with the feud. The feud won't be for everybody, but they've certainly done a good job with it. The match should be good. Both guys are good workers. It's just, I don't know, something about Trey bugs me.
I think that's fair. Nothing wrong with that. They're not for everybody. Not everybody likes the Rascals, by the way. I know that. It's funny, but
I like them. Like I get stoned all the time, so I have no problem with guys sitting around getting stoned and telling stories and stuff. I have no issue with their gimmick. I think it's great. It's just none of them come out as like a single star to me. I just think it's like, all right, it's three really good wrestlers who work well as a unit. I don't see one of them right now as like, yeah, you can push this guy and he should be a singles champion.
Fair enough. Next up, a match I know you are looking forward to. Tag team champions The North facing off with Rich Swann and Willie Mack.
Rich Mack. I mean, that could be their names. That's their tag team name, Rich Mack. Should be good. I like all four of these guys. They work well. Both teams have really good chemistry. The North have been. I didn't think I was going to like them this much when they first took the titles off of LAX. But they've been really entertaining, and I've been a fan of what they're doing. And I like Willie Mack. I like Rich Swann. Again, the work should be fine. These are four guys I'm not really worried about when it comes to work, and I think they'll get plenty of time and they'll tell a good story and should be a good match.
Yeah, I really like the build of this one because it's not just challengers looking for the title. I mean, they are obviously looking for the titles, but they've built some nice layers to it because you have Ethan Page really specifically playing mind games, trying to mind fuck Willie Mack into being jealous and telling him that Swann's the big star in the making and that they won't last as a team and friends. And that has led to some very subtle side-eyeing by Willie Mack in promos, which has been really nicely done. Very much teasing that heel turn, especially since they did the gimmick where Mack, quote-unquote, got hurt during the number one contenders gauntlet deal they did, and Rich Swann, God, I keep doing that. Rich Swann earned the title shot all on his own, which kept playing into the North's little narrative there. I think Mack and Swann are a really great team. They feel like a threat. The North have been great as champions, and they have obviously great dance partners here. So I think along with Elgin and Edwards, this is the other match that really has show-stealing potential. The question is, will the North's plan work? Will Mack turn on Swann? Will the champions retain? Or are the challengers actually the one playing the mind games, and they're going to fucking lull the champions into a sense of false security and then beat them. So, I mean, I think it's really interesting. I'm really looking forward to the match. I think it'll be good. I think it's a coin flip. I'm going to go with the North, but I'm not 100% sold on it.
I think the North is going to win as well. I don't think there's going to be any turn, at least not yet. I just don't think it's quite time for the North to lose the titles. And no offense to Swan and Mac, like they're over, they're relatively hot, but I don't think their story, if they're going where we think they're going with a potential turn, like needs the titles right now. I think losing actually tells that story a little bit better. So I think the North end up winning, and maybe they probably pull some type of shenanigans to get the victory.
Yeah, very much looking forward to it, though. So the card is turned around here, and we head to the main event. Champion Sami Callihan versus Tessa Blanchard. We go back to the Rebellion show. Tessa Blanchard defeated Gail Kim, and her follow-up booking was kind of not what anybody expected, because instead of locking her into a feud to go after the Knockouts title, she turned babyface, beat Disco Inferno, and then started scrapping with the guys from OVE, which led to her match at Slammiversary with Sami Callihan, which was really good, and Sami won. They had a rematch later on one of the specials with the title shot on the line, which was actually, I thought, a little better than the Slammiversary match. Sami won, cashed in, and won the title. So we've talked about Tessa a lot on these shows, Jeremy. Tessa's been great. She was seemingly set to be the centerpiece of the Knockouts, but she beat Gail Kim. She got over. She feels like the biggest star of the company. And now she is, thrown into the mix for the world title. Sami had a really great 2019. He was coming up short constantly. Finally started picking up wins on the big shows. Won the title. And again, Sami is a great heel. He's the most over heel in the company. Tessa is, basically the biggest star and most over star in the company. They want to push her. They really want to make her a star, and not just a female star, a top star. So that's why they're main eventing. The build's been really good. I thought they've done a lot of work to get it over, some good brawls. So we come to the finish. It's like, does Sami screw her over to retain, or does Tessa actually get that big moment and Sami's run what feels like really early on? I'm actually kind of going another direction, Jeremy. I'm booking the territory.
All right.
Here's what happens. Tessa Blanchard beats Sami Callihan to win the championship. She celebrates. Big Mike Elgin comes out and cashes in his title shot. Shits all over the moment, beats her and becomes the new champion. Leaves the champion. Pisses everybody off. Most over heel in the company now.
I mean, yeah, I mentioned something similar earlier, and that's why I think Elgin is going to win. I don't think they're going to have Tessa lose that quickly. I do think they'll give her a month or so run. It does feel early for Callihan to lose the title, because he's only had the title for he won it at the end of October, right? The beginning of November.
Yeah.
End
of October.
Yeah, whenever the Access debut was. So it doesn't feel like and they've been off TV, off of Access for the last 2 weeks, so it really doesn't feel like he's held it that long. But like, if you're not going to go with Tessa now, like, when are you going to go with her? Because I don't think she's going to be as hot as she is right now. Her contract is reportedly up sometime in the next few months, so she might not even re-sign. And that's just another reason why she probably won't have a very long title run, unless she does re-sign before then. But who knows? They might not want to even try to risk anything like that. I think Tessa wins. I think this is her moment. I think they give her that moment as well, and I think she gets a month or two run out of it, and then she ends up losing to Elgin. And Elgin can do that cash in thing, where Tessa wins a match on Impact on Access, and then Elgin cashes in, beats her, and they can do a rematch or whatever. I think they'll give Tessa her moment. I don't think they'll heel her out like this, but it would make sense. It'd put a big target on Elgin's back right away and turn him into the biggest heel in the company, which Sami Callihan will bitch about on Twitter.
Yeah, I think they might do it. I mean, I'm not 100% sold on it. I hate everybody that wants to go with safe predictions all the time. I mean, look at my WrestleKingdom stuff, which obviously didn't come true. But still, I mean, I think it's okay to go outside the box sometimes. And, like, they're committed to book Tessa as a star, but I'm not 100% sold on them wanting her to actually have a run with the title. I think they're going to be happy to say that, hey, she won the title, we did it. And let that be it. Because I think that, the contract stuff, I think they may start phasing her out so they can try to get other people over, because if she's leaving, they're losing, like we talked about, pretty much their biggest star. And honestly, if I'm Tessa, I mean, it's no disrespect to Impact. I mean, she's in a great position of power, man. I mean, this is the time to leave and make your money somewhere.
Yeah, and she's gonna get big offers too. So I think they're gonna keep it on her. I don't think it's gonna be a one-off, 30-second run where it's like, okay, we did it, we gave her the title. I think with as much as they've invested in her, they will do a little bit more. And I like this match. I think it'll be good. Both the story is really strong coming into it. A lot of history to play off of. I mean, just the fact that you have Tessa going for the world title is going to be history in and of itself. So a lot to play off of in this match. They'll have the crowd behind it pretty much the entire time, unless they manage to kill them in the undercard. So I'm looking forward to this main event, and I think they give Tessa the moment. If Elgin wins in the earlier match, then I will be scared for her.
Yeah, definitely, and I think you should, because I think the possibility is there. So as we talked about, I mean, it's kind of a mixed bag. The lower 4 matches don't do a lot for me. But I do think that the other 4 matches, there's a lot of strong possibility for the card to turn around. And, hopefully we're kind of wrong about those bottom matches, Jeremy. Maybe they end up being surprisingly good. I hope so.
If some of them are kept short, I mean, like Cage and RVD could be surprisingly good, just because Brian Cage, especially if it's a short match, they can do some cool athletic stuff, and in short bursts it'll look good. Like Moose and Rhino, I don't have a lot of hopes for. Maybe Shamrock and Fulton, just because you can do some cool strikes and Shamrock chopping him down and stuff with his amazing leg kicks. One of those matches will probably end up surprising. I don't know which one. If I had to put money on it, I'd say Cage and RVD. But I do think one of those matches will end up surprising.
Well, we can hope so. So that is Hard to Kill, and that's on Sunday night. And we're back, and we are going to get into the Wednesday night stuff, Jeremy. We've already recorded our other stuff. We will start with AEW Dynamite, January 8th, 2020, from Memphis, Tennessee. Memphis announcing legend Dave Brown was on commentary for the opening match, which was Kenny Omega and Drunk Hangman Page, who, according to the lower third, is not paying Private Party back their $12. Which I laughed at. I swear to God, if they started that shit as a joke with his lower third, it's so good.
Look, Hangman doesn't have the co-executive vice president deal, I mean, I'm sure he's making good money in AEW, but he's not making that Kenny money. So he's got $12 is a lot for a drink too. I mean, I don't drink anymore, but $12 seems kind of steep. I don't blame the man.
That's right. So it's Kenny and Adam Page facing off Private Party in our opener. Kenny and Adam Page defeated Private Party 12-40 via pin. Jeremy, your thoughts on our opener?
A little kind of clunky, to be honest. Like, it wasn't bad or anything, but it also just felt like it should have been better. I don't know what it was. The teams just didn't mesh as well as you would think. Like, they didn't get a ton of time. They had, what'd you say, like 12, 13 minutes. Yeah. Just something, especially on the early portions. By the end, it really did pick up, and it was a good match. Like, I'm not saying this was a bad match or anything. It just almost felt like it should have been a little bit better. It felt kind of just sloppy and like waiting around a little bit too much.
All right, I thought it was really good. I thought they had a hot crowd. Definitely not like a high-level tag match by any means. But yeah, I liked it well enough. And it feels like they're continuing on with that slow burn to the Adam Page heel turn. They have kept having little teases throughout the match. He almost hit Kenny at one point. Kenny ended up hitting him later on, but they rebounded. It will be interesting to see how they're exactly going to go on with that. But I thought that the teases were well done. And, Private Party is one of those teams that, like, they have a ton of potential. They do a bunch of stuff really well. One of the downfalls for them, I think, of signing with AEW is the fact that they just don't get to work as much. And that's going to hurt them a bit.
Yeah, I want to know what they're doing with Private Party. I mean, they get the big win over the Bucks. They were the first team to beat Santana and Ortiz. And now they've got some weird losses mixed in there. Well, they lost to like the Best Friends at one point when the Best Friends were not quite as hot as they turned out to be. And now, like, I understand you don't want to beat Omega and Page, but like Omega and Page are a team that's going through issues and stuff. Private Party it feels like they're there, and okay, you can like do it slowly, but I don't know. It feels like they're just kind of there, and I had higher expectations, especially after that Bucks win.
Yeah, they feel rather directionless now. There's no doubt about that. Post-match, we got video backstage, Pac laying out Nakazawa with the Brutalizer and demanding his rematch with Kenny Omega. So, poor Michael Nakazawa, just getting his ass beat all the time.
Why didn't Kenny bring Nakazawa to ringside? Like, he knows this bastard Pac is after him. This is just poor friendship by Kenny Omega.
What I think the story is that Kenny is learning from the all-time great Toru Yano, and he's trying to bring fair play to AEW. So he didn't want to have the possible impropriety of bringing Nakazawa to ringside thinking that he may cheat. He's a good man like Yano. Now, that may result in him being a shitty friend, but I mean, he didn't want to cheat.
Then tie up Nakazawa at ringside or something.
Handcuff him to the post so he's a stationary target for Pac. That's a great idea.
Yeah. Well, at least then Kenny doesn't have to rush to the back to save him. He's right out there to save him, you know?
Hey, you know what? Michael Nakazawa's lucky he has a job, even if it's getting his ass beat.
That's a fair point, yeah.
We went to the AEW Women's Championship match next. Hikaru Shida and Britt Baker were sitting ringside. Unfortunately, Brandy Rhodes got commentary.
It was rough from the very start with her on commentary.
Yeah, she was no good on commentary. So the quick of it is that Riho ended up retaining the title at 9:35 via pin. Let me get the good out of the way. There was a lot of really good work between Riho and Chris Statlander in this match. The best part of this match was the fact that during the match, my wife cooked and baked and brought me a lovely chocolate cake. So I was able to eat lovely chocolate cake during this show. Unfortunately, all this great work was totally negated by Brandy and the Nightmare Collective bullshit. They went down to the ring, Kong and Melanie Cruz. They got involved. Statlander and Rio tried to fight them off. Chris Jericho got his buddy Dr. Luther a fucking job. He was the bald guy that was in all the fucking vignettes with Brandy. He appeared and got involved in all this bullshit. And then Kong ended up tripping up Statlander and Rio retained. It was a lot of really good work in there until all this bullshit fucking ruined it. And that sucks because, first of all, Chris and Riho don't deserve this. Secondly, it's a perfect example of the quote-unquote story, and I'm using air quotes that you can't see, ruining a match instead of amplifying it or actually making it better. Brandy and this Nightmare Collective shit can just fuck off. It is the dirt worst shit. I don't want to hear anybody complain about the Dark Order after this. It's nowhere in the same league. This shit is horrible.
Yeah. Get fired up, Larry.
Well, I'm really fucking fired up because they were having a really good match. And then they fucking ruined it with all this horse shit. And this is the horse shit, too, that they were telling us for how many fucking months before the company started that this isn't the shit we're going to do. And then they fucking do it. Made the referee look like an asshole, too, because there was 800 interference spots. Fuck off.
This sucked. This was so bad. Look, Riho and Statlander did work hard. The problem was a lot of their work was completely undermined by Brandy on commentary, who just buried everything, just calling Statlander. I did laugh when they did the superplex spot and Statlander, like, she sold hitting her head, and Brandy's just like, look, she hurt her own head. Stupid. Brandy undermined everything by bickering with Excalibur about the mask, calling him Exhibit. And then it did venture on the territory of it's so bad that it's funny, but that's not what you want to go for. Like, this is a women's title bout. This should be a serious bout. Like, And yeah, so the commentary undermined the early work, and then of course we had the interference, which undermined everything else. This sucked. The Dr. Luther, like Japanese deathmatch legend Luther, no one knew who this guy was. Like
Chris Jericho's best friend that was the best man at his fucking wedding. That's who he is. That's all you need to know.
That would have been a better explanation than Japanese deathmatch legend Luther. Like the announcer's like, "Is that Luther? Are we sure?" Like, it's just no one knows who the hell Dr. Luther is. Let's be honest. This was just, the referee looks stupid because all this interference is going on, and I guess he's checking on Riho the whole time. Like, he couldn't turn around once to see what was happening.
He didn't hear the 800 spots going on behind him with the 9 people involved. Oh, seriously, Brandy and this whole Nightmare Collective can fuck off, man. I am so sick of it. Worst part of the goddamn company.
By far. It's really bad. And as you said, it's everything that they said they weren't going to do. And after 2 weeks, or I guess 3 weeks ago, because they had that week off, like they knew the Dark Order stuff wasn't good. I'm sure they heard the complaints about the Nightmare Collective stuff. And last week seemed really refocused. Like, I loved last week's show because it was just, a lot of wrestling, a lot of good wrestling, a lot of just straight to the point stories, no bullshit, some good interviews to set up stuff. Like, just, it was a really good show last week. And then they come out with this nonsense this week, and like you undermined a complete, like a women's world title match, a well-built women's world title match. Like the previous ones were not this well built. I mean, Riho is an established champion. Statlander's been winning a bunch of matches. She won the number one's contenders match, and like you undermined the women's division. Sucks, dude. It's so bad.
Bunch of fucking bullshit. Angered me to no end. And like I said, especially because they were having a really good match in there. They were doing really well. I was enjoying it, and then just all this bullshit. And it's the shit that annoys me to no end. It's like I talked about it with Ian when we were reviewing WrestleKingdom. It's like the Jay White stuff. I like Jay White. I think Jay White's a really good wrestler. I think he's an awesome heel. They make him out to be this super devious counter wrestling heel that is like smarter than everybody. But then he's booked like he can't beat anybody on his fucking own, and he needs 800 low blows and Gato chair shots to fucking win a match. Why can't a heel sometimes, and this is totally different in a way, but like, why can't a heel sometimes just be smarter and better every once in a while? And then you save that shit and you do it sparingly instead of every fucking match so it means something. But yeah, this stuff just pissed me off to no end. And like I said, it's an example of trying, again, I use air quotes, to do a story that totally takes away from everything you were doing in the ring.
It wasn't good at all. It seemed to kill the crowd. Like the rest of the show wasn't as hot as it was for that opening match. Yeah. I mean, they got into certain stuff, but it definitely wasn't as hot as it was for that opening match. Just the worst, just the absolute worst. And people are rightfully shitting on this because AEW promised something different, and this was worse than the Lashley segment. Look, the Lashley segment was dumb, but in my wrestling, I can tolerate some of that stuff, especially because it was like this. It was an angle. They didn't ruin a match by doing this wedding segment. It was just a complete angle. Like this, they ruined a very good match by doing stuff that isn't over, that hasn't connected once. Like, none of this Brandy stuff has connected. None of it. And yet here she is in this title picture scene with Awesome Kong, who I think is great, but is also like 40 and is coming off all these kind of surgeries and back injuries and whatnot. I don't know who Mel is. I'm sorry. She's not really established to me. And Dr. Luther, who the fuck is this dude? Like looking like the guy from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, the ghost guy.
The only surprising thing about the Dr. Luther thing is the fact that Don Callis didn't fucking sign him first.
I mean, I guess maybe he can work both companies. Like,
Oh Christ! Don't go. No, I have enough to
Dr.
deal
Luther's
with.
gonna show up to Hard to Kill this weekend.
I have enough to deal with an Impact with all the other useless assholes they're using that like kill my interest in the good talent they have. All right, let's
Johnny Swinger.
Well, at least I can kind of laugh at Johnny Swinger, but it's like Johnny Swinger at least isn't being pushed and being put over people, unlike Rhino and Tommy Dreamer and shit like that. And
Well, that's Dr. Luther's problem. He wasn't in ECW. He was in FMW and stuff.
yeah, I guess so. But I know he's a good friend to Don Callis, which is why I'm shocked he didn't get hired. So anyway, let's move on because we beat this dead horse, which is definitely fucking deserved. So, got Sammy Guevara versus Christopher Daniels. This was set up last week when Sammy ran down Christopher Daniels for fucking up his move and being an old man that doesn't have it anymore. Commentary, I will give them credit. They didn't show footage, but they did mention on AEW Dark that Daniels has been having confidence issues, and in his AEW Dark match, he teased going for the Arabian Press that he botched against Pentagon, but he couldn't do it, which led to the heat in that match. So I do like that they're playing up that story, which may play into the fact that I may be right that maybe that was an on-purpose thing, Jeremy.
Yeah, well, and you mentioned it, that it made a lot of sense. And again, either you're right and it is, it is a story, and, kudos for them to, create this story out of a botch, or kudos to them for reversing the story and turning something into the botch and giving Daniel something to do. I'm more inclined to believe your theory. Like I was pretty high on your theory when you first said it, and the more this goes on, the more I think that's what they're doing, because they've always talked about they've always talked about long-term planning and stuff. So I don't think like they did this botch and then they decided, oh, let's create a story out of this. Like it feels like this was a long-term thing.
Yeah. And like I said, the only reason I had the theory is because I know he did it in TNA against AJ. He did it on purpose to dupe him in so he could beat him in a match. And I remember that like very vividly. So anyway, we had Sammy and Christopher Daniels. Sammy won at 550 via pin. And the reason he won is because Daniels was winning. Pentagon arrived, made fun of him on the microphone to do the Arabian Press. Sammy attacked and hit a fucking knee strike and won. Shitty fucking distraction finish. The match was okay until there, but fuck off with this distraction bullshit finish. I see it on Monday and every fucking Friday. I don't need to see it on Wednesday.
At least Pentagon's music didn't hit. That's about the kindest thing I can say about this distraction. Like once Pentagon came out, it's like, really? You're doing this? This is another thing where it's like, this is what you've railed against, and now this is what you're doing. So it's tough to swallow, because we expect more out of AEW in this situation. We expect them to not do this shit, and here they are doing a distraction finish when it's not necessary.
Yep, don't need it at all. So that led to the post-match angle where the Dark Order arrived. Evil Uno put over Christopher Daniels as an innovator and someone that made him want to get into wrestling, but said that the fans didn't believe in Daniels anymore. They think he lost a step, but Uno said that he could make him the man he was once again. He offered him a Dark Order mask. Daniels teased taking it, threw it at him. They attacked and all kicked the shit out of him until SCU and the Bucks arrived. They all beat down the Dark Order and Grayson. Sky hit a big tope. And Daniels hit a BME on Alex Reynolds. And they stood tall, getting revenge for the beatdown that everybody hated prior to the break.
We'll see where the Dark Order stuff goes. This, they got one up on the Elite prior to the break, as you said, and now the first week, essentially, they're back on television since they only did a vignette last week. Like they're getting beat down now. So anything of like establishing them as some type of dominant faction is kind of out the window, because they've already kind of got a little bit of comeuppance here. We'll see what happens with the Dark Order stuff. I'm willing to give them a little bit of a chance, but it's certainly been hit and miss so far.
It has been hit and miss, but it definitely has more potential than the Nightmare Collective.
way more potential. I don't even know what the Nightmare Collective is all about. Like, they were cutting hair and now they're not cutting hair. I don't know what the deal is with the Nightmare Collective, but at least the Dark Order has something you can sink into a little bit with the cult stuff, and they got a certain leader with Evil Uno who's good on the mic and is trying to like recruit actual people. I mean, I guess Brandy sort of is, but Brandy just isn't built for that role. At least Evil Uno is built for that role. So yeah, way better.
Plus, you have the mystery Dark Overlord portion of the Dark Order thing that we don't know about. So, I mean, yeah, I'm willing to let this play out a little more. I didn't think this was a bad segment at all. It kind of made sense for them to target Daniels because he is having that crisis of confidence, and he did lose, and that made sense. And then you had SCU and the Bucks getting a little revenge, so that's fine. Went back to tag team action. Cody and Dustin Rhodes with head coach Arn Anderson at ringside, facing off with the Lucha Brothers. Cody and Dustin Rhodes defeated the Lucha Brothers 10-25 via pin. I thought they had a good and fun tag match. Crowd started to get back into the show a little bit here, which was nice to see. Dustin, again, just working really hard, looking good. I like the Arn stuff. My only real complaint with this is, while I thought it was a good and fun match, we talked about people without direction like Private Party. The Lucha Bros, just no direction with these guys right now other than go out and have a good match, please.
The Lucha Losers is what I've called them because I'm very witty and creative. They're just there. Like, there really is, as you said, no direction with them. I don't. Yeah, they were the hot tag team coming in because they were feuding with the Bucks and everything, and now they're having matches. I guess Pentagon is feuding with Daniels, but they're losing all these matches. Like, I don't feel like they've won in forever, and I'm sure somebody will tell me they won like 3 weeks ago or something. But it just feels like they're a bunch of losers. And I like both of these guys. It doesn't feel like they're winning at all. And good win for the Rhodes family. I mean, the Elite, the people wanted the Elite strong. You look at these last 2 weeks, they're running through everybody. So if you were hoping for the Elite to be strong, like, you're getting your wish, that's for sure.
Yep. Post-match, Tony Schiavone tried to interview Cody about MJF's demands. Arn took the mic and said MJF has no stroke and he doesn't like him. Said Cody wants to match, but they're going to answer next week.
Why doesn't Cody just like not answer until the week before, and then he doesn't have to do any of these stipulations because it's at Revolution, so he doesn't have to do the cage match or anything?
I don't know. I guess we'll find out. So they had a quick thing with Lanny Poffo backstage. Apparently they're doing all the Legend stuff on Dark next week, which led to MJF and the Wardlow coming to the ring. MJF called Cody a coward who's afraid to face him. Gave him to the count of 10 to come out and accept his demands like a man. Cody didn't come out, so MJF called him a little bitch. This led to Diamond Dallas Page arriving. MJF was not amused. DDP, blah, 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 former world champion, Hall of Famer, DDP Yoga. If you would have told him 19 years ago he would have been on TNT with AEW, he would have thought you were smoking crack. Quite obviously so, because 19 years ago AEW wasn't around. But anyway, he was there to address his issues with MJF from a few weeks back. He made fun of him and the Ward blow, hyped his social media, and teased coming back for one more match. MJF said enough, said DDP in his prime couldn't lace his boots, and that today his arthritic hands couldn't hold his jock. The Butcher and the Blade arrived. They fucking ate RKOs like geeks. MJF low-blowed DDP. After he said he made a joke about like he's gonna lay down with his diamond daughter and have her feel the bang and stuff like that. QT Marshall and Dustin Rhodes made the save. MJF was good here, but I just didn't care about this.
MJF was fine, but it certainly wasn't like a peak MJF promo. No. It was just kind of like a generic heel MJF promo, and I'm sure that's not what they wanted to come across. The DDP stuff was kind of cringe. Just, hey, this is who I am, DDP. Like, dude, we get it. Like, you're by just running down all this. Like, we know who DDP is. This isn't a Dr. Luther situation who no one knows. Like, everyone knows who Diamond Dallas Page is. He's been on television before. He's a, Hall of Famer, legend, whatever. So I don't need all of that stuff. And then, like, he lays out the Butcher and the Blade. They look like complete dorks, which, fine. I don't have any real use for him anyway. And, Cody doesn't even make the save. It's Dustin and QT Marshall. And, like, Jim Ross tried to, I don't remember if it was Ross or Schiavone, but I try to explain, like, oh yeah, Dustin and Cody left the building, and then Dustin runs out. So it's like, all right, I guess Cody just left the building. It wasn't that great of it didn't do anything for me.
No, it was just flat. Like you said, I enjoyed some of the MJF stuff. Definitely not his best work, and just
he tweeted during DDP's promo.
I don't blame him. I wanted to take a nap during DDP's promo.
DDP's promo was not good, but he's gonna wrestle next week.
Yay. Anyway, back to tag team action. Trios match. Jurassic Express defeated the Best Friends in Orange Cassidy 10-50 via pin. I thought they had a solidly fun little match that the crowd really liked because Marco's stunt was in his hometown area, and Orange Cassidy and Luchasaurus are over. Got the big Orange Cassidy Luchasaurus face off, and Luchasaurus survived the most devastating kicks in all of wrestling. So
I don't know how.
I just, the fucking dinosaur plating, man. I don't know. Just like, I don't know. He's a strong gentleman, but he survived somehow. Again, it was nothing special. I thought it was solid fun. The crowd was into it at the very least, which is very good.
Yeah, it was fine. It was a weird dynamic because there was no story for this match. It's just 6 dudes, two teams of 3 just kind of facing off. Like, we've never seen them have any type of interaction. Like, they're both babyface teams, I think. I really don't know. Like, they get babyface reactions. And so that it was a little tough to get into because of that, just because what was the purpose of this match?
Honestly, I think just to get Jurassic Express a legit win on TV, but that's about it.
Yeah, that's all it seemed, because I think Jurassic Express has taken on Jericho and Proud and Powerful in 2 weeks on the Jericho cruise, so yeah. it would make sense to get them a win here. But like, that was the purpose, and okay, but at the same time, like, I need a little bit more to get into a match.
Yeah, it was fine. So yeah, next week we're getting this one sounds really good. Pac versus Darby Allin, like that one. Yes. Then we got DDP, QT Marshall, and Dustin Rhodes versus MJF, the Butcher, and the Blade, as well as Hikaru Shida and Chris Statlander versus Kong and Melanie Cruz, which will probably end up being a fucking mess because the Nightmare Collective stuff sucks.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that match, but Pac and Darby will be fun because Pac will kick the shit out of them, and Darby will sell it really well. And the 6-man tag, I really don't have much interest in either, honestly, especially after that segment. Like, Dustin's the best worker in the match.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt there. So that led to our main event interview segment, Jon Moxley's big decision. The champion Chris Jericho, fresh off of his WrestleKingdom victory, arrived with Sammy Guevara and Jack Hagar. Moxley arrived as Jericho had the bubbly ready for him. He called Moxley his best friend and protege. Joked about how he didn't care if it was like Elvis's birthday. Said Elvis was a jackass and he'd kick his ass. The Beatles were way better. Moxley said he'd give him. He wants Moxley's answer. He said the car was all gassed up. Santana and Ortiz were ready to set up the party all night long. He said nobody else was invited. Wanted to know, will you join the Inner Circle? Moxley said he had a lot of time to think things over this week. And a lot went into his decision. You all may think you know him, including Jericho. He doesn't want what Jericho offered him because he can't be bought. He came to dominate in AEW, but then said his answer was yes. He has an Inner Circle / Moxley shirt on. Says he came to dominate and take everybody out. Nobody is more dangerous than the Inner Circle, and he will stand with them. Jericho got to gloat and said, "I told you so." Mox said he will learn from the greats like Jericho. He will stand with them. They will dominate AEW for years to come. He wanted more bubbly. They all celebrated, sprayed champagne around. he got "You Sold Out" chants, and Jericho said, "That's right, Mox, you sold out every night as the Inner Circle means money," mentioned that they won at the Tokyo Dome and they drank more. And then Moxley said he forgot one more thing, and in the words of General Akbar, it was a trap. He was kidding. All he wants is the title. Broke a bottle of the bubbly over Jericho's head, hit a Death Rider, power drove Sammy. And it was all an elaborate ruse to make Jericho think he was joining the Inner Circle, which of course he wasn't. Fun angle to close the show. Maybe a smidge long, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, a little long. That's my only real complaint about it. Like, after he joined, it just felt like they were stalling for time of, hey, let's do this. Let's talk about this. And it's just like, okay, like, we know that the turn is coming. Just, like, get to it. And I guess it's not a turn, but with the swerve, whatever you want to call it, like, we know it's coming. Just, like, get to it. And it just felt a little long on that. Otherwise, like, Jericho's very good. Moxley is very good. Sammy and Hagar kind of played their roles. The sugar glass bottle broke in Moxley's hand when Hagar was running into the ring, so that didn't look too great. But otherwise, like, it was fine. It wasn't. It was predictable, but that's okay because it was entertaining. I would have been more. I honestly would have liked to just see Moxley join it and run with that for a couple of weeks and then maybe turn or something. But I guess that maybe comes off to Daniel Bryan in the Wyatt family type deal. But yeah, it wasn't anything wrong with it. It just felt a little predictable and long.
Yeah, so no major complaints there. That will let us move on to NXT for January 9th, 2020. We started off big women's segment in the ring with Bianca Belair, Io Shirai, Kaylee Ray, Candice LeRae, Rhea Ripley, and Toni Storm, all talking about possible title shots, which led to a big brawl and the booking of a 6-person match to kick off the show. And that match saw Candice LeRae, Rhea Ripley, and Toni Storm defeating Bianca Belair, Io Shirai, Kaylee Ray at 16-16 via pin. I guess the other thing too, during the opening, they set up Toni Storm versus Rhea Ripley for the Worlds Collide special. So I thought that the match was good overall to open up the show. I thought the angle was fine. And it was a nice way to highlight what is really becoming a ridiculously stacked NXT women's division, especially when you mix in the ladies from NXT UK.
The opening segment, like, it was good because, on one hand, because Rhea Ripley is still super over even after the couple weeks off. And yeah, the division is stacked. And they didn't even use, like, part of their talent here. Like, we saw Chelsea Green later. Obviously, Shayna Baszler is still there. We saw Mia Yim later. And yeah, you throw in some of the NXT UK women. Like, there's so much talent in this division. Look, I don't always like to compare NXT to AEW, but look at the differences in these women's divisions and how they're booked. It's night and day. But it did feel like a little SmackDown Raw segment, like, hey, play my music, let me come out here and challenge for the title. And it's just like, okay, like, we've seen this before. And I think it also telegraphs that Toni Storm probably isn't winning on Sunday, because I don't think they're going to do a champion versus champion bout. I think they clearly kind of don't want to do that. That's why they're not doing Cole and Walter. They're doing the two groups instead. So I think it almost telegraphs that Toni Storm is losing on Sunday. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Toni Storm will win. It will be a champion versus champion. But that's just how I'm thinking going into this.
Yeah. We had a nice little quick post-match deal where Rhea and Toni Storm had to stare down. Candice LeRae brought the belt into the ring to hand it to Rhea, but stopped to stare at it for a little bit, and then begrudgingly handed it to her, and everybody was happy, but Candice was kind of side-eyeing that title the whole time. I like those little things like that. Candice
and Rhea is going to be awesome whenever it happens, because there's a fun dynamic between those two.
Yeah. We got backstage. We got a video promo on Tommaso Ciampa talking about being NXT champion for 238 days and that he needs his title back. Got a Keith Lee promo talking about having to prove himself no matter how many champions he's pinned, and he will win the North American title in 2020. This led to the first match of the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. Imperium defeating the Forgotten Sons 5 minutes and 10 seconds, Jeremy.
A good sprint, and thank God that the Forgotten Sons didn't win. Actually, I really like this match because, one, I was worried that the Forgotten Sons were going to win, and they didn't, so that was great. Imperium stay strong going into NXT UK. I think this was a good showcase for them to hopefully get fans excited for the takeover show that allegedly exists on Sunday. And yeah, it was a fun little sprint. They didn't have a lot of time, but they did well with what the time they did have.
Yeah, it was good. Maybe it's slightly chaotic. I don't mean that in the bad way, though. Obviously, the right team won. I enjoyed it. And yeah, the Imperium guys winning, obviously the right choice because we don't need more Forgotten Son matches.
No, they just need to just go away forever after this.
So, Kathy Kelly interviewed Matt Riddle about his pairing with Pete Dunne in the Dusty Rhodes Classic. Riddle said that they don't know each other well, but that's why it's going to work. He said he looked at Dunne, who was there, and said, "I'm a bro, you're the bruiserweight, let's do this." Pete Dunne kind of didn't give a shit, and Riddle said, "The broserweights were born." Fucking Matt Riddle was actually really great here. And like Pete Dunne just kind of not giving a shit and standing there is always good too.
The dynamic between these two is really good because Dunne is typically that like quiet, very still assuming guy, but he has good facial expression and is just like, whatever, I'm just here to fucking hurt people. And Riddle is obviously Riddle, where he was probably stoned during this segment, but he's chill. He's like, broserweights. Like, what a name. I love Matt Riddle.
We got a Gallus video package, and that led to Austin Theory beating Joaquin Wilde 255 via pin. This was, following the Theory had a really great outing versus Roddy on the taped Christmas special. Picked up his first TV win here, and WWE's had their eye on him for a really long time. So he's going to get a push, and Joaquin Wilde is really good and was a good dance partner for him here. It was short and fun and pretty much accomplished its goal of getting Theory on track.
Yeah, nothing wrong with it. Too short to be a great match or anything. But as you said, the goal was to get Theory on TV, get him over, and that's what they did.
Yep. Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic action was next. The Undisputed Era defeated Gallus. This was a battle of NXT Tag Team Champions versus NXT UK Tag Team Champions. 12:25 via pin. Jeremy, your thoughts?
It was... Sorry, I'm eating an Airhead.
Of course you were.
It was good, but it didn't feel like a great Undisputed Era match. Like, we know these guys always have really good matches, and this wasn't quite it. Look, I'm not into Gallus. I don't watch NXT UK. But from what I've seen, Gallus does nothing for me. There's just some bearded white dudes. Bobby Fish, I don't know if he's still working, a little hurt, because I believe this is his first match back since suffering that injury that took him out of the tag team match against Lee and Dijakovic. So maybe he was still kind of taking it easy. Kyle O'Reilly is still great. Like, the match was fine. I always thought Undisputed Era was going to win, and so that took me out a little bit. But it was fine, just probably not on the level you would expect to be considering who was in it.
Yeah, my general thought was it was not the normal high-level Undisputed Era match you may be used to, but it was good. The right team won. No real complaints about it. And it didn't go too long either, because if it would have went longer, I probably would have started to sour on it, but I thought the time frame was good. Got a video package for Mark Andrews and Flash Morgan Webster, who are in the Dusty Tag Team Classic, leading to Johnny Gargano arriving for promo time. Talked about Finn Balor costing him a takeover last year. Said Finn's past is his future, and it's him because he couldn't get the job done the first time. He called out Finn Balor for saying he's a flag bearer in NXT, yet he headed to the main roster with glee, while Gargano turned on the offer a few months back and stayed. He mocked Finn's extraordinary gimmick and said he took NXT to the next level without him, which led to Finn Balor arriving. He said he should be called Johnny Promo because that's always been cleared for. A little joke after taking him out. And then Finn says he makes the calls and says he'll take him out at TakeOver Portland. That's if Johnny can make it that far. It was fine little promo segment. I'm excited for Johnny Gargano versus Finn Balor though.
I like this. Yeah, I'm excited for Gargano and Balor as well. That match should be awesome. Like, you can't name a bad Johnny Gargano takeover match, so that in and of itself means the match is probably going to rule. But I like this just simply because they got some nice little digs in. The Johnny promo thing was, I giggled at that.
I did too.
The extraordinary, that gimmick, that was so stupid. I never understood that, so I'm glad Gargano like referenced it and being like, that was dumb, dude. Saying down like, I turned down the main roster stuff, like you left, like that's all fine with me. I like this promo, and I'm really looking forward to this match.
Yeah, it was one of those things too that was nice and simple, did not overstay its welcome, didn't have to be fucking 20 minutes. Just get in, get out, get your job done, set up the match, and I'm excited for that match. But the absolute best part of the fucking show was next.
Yeah.
Because they announced officially that Alex Shelley will be Kushida's tag team partner in the Dusty Classic. Sign me the fuck up for the Time Splitters, baby. I am super excited for this.
Yes. Cannot wait. Glad that, we discussed who it might be, and the Time Splitters was one of them, and we talked about maybe not Matt Riddle, because he has a match. Keith Lee, talked about maybe Keith Lee, but they certainly had their options, and I'm glad it is a Time Splitters reunion and Dusty tag team tournament. Let them win. Fuck it. Put all the titles on the Time Splitters.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it, and it shouldn't really be a shock, because if you guys pay attention to the news, Shelley has done at least one guest coaching stint at the Performance Center. WWE has some high regard for him, and this obviously doesn't mean he's getting signed, but the fact is, I think it's really cool that Shelley's going to get a WWE moment, and hopefully a nice payday, and you know what? Maybe he ends up getting a coaching gig or whatever, but I mean, I just think it's cool that we're getting a Time Splitters reunion in 2020.
They split time. It's not 2020 to them.
That's right.
If Shelley wants to go to WWE, like, he'll go. I'm sure they've made him an offer. Like, he can be a coach, he can be a player coach, whatever they want him to do. Like, the ball is in his court with that. I don't think this is a thing of, we'll just bring him in for a Time Splitters reunion and then we got no use for him. This is clearly a thing of, whatever you want to do, let's do this. Yeah, they're basically doing the same thing with Mercedes Martinez right now. She's probably going to end up being kind of a player coach in NXT, and I'd imagine Shelley is getting a similar offer if he wants it.
Yeah, and you brought up the Mercedes Martinez thing. I was actually to bring that up too, but man, I tell you what, some fucking fickle motherfuckers with that signing, man. People bitching.
I've not seen this.
Yeah, people bitching that she sold out and all this shit. It's like, listen, okay. First of all, she has busted her ass for 20 fucking years. Okay? She has done everything she can on the independent scene. She's almost 40. You know what? If she wants to sign with WWE, pick up a nice steady paycheck, and like you said, I think she's going to end up being a coach, maybe a player's coach like Cash Sano. We'll see. But the fact is, if she's not a wrestler and she gets in that trainer's role, not only is that a steady paycheck, that's health insurance and benefits and all that stuff. After she's put in 20 years, I say she fucking deserves to make that choice. Who the fuck are you people to judge her, you know?
I don't understand when, like, this is just how toxic social media can be, and like this brand loyalty that people have to AEW or WWE or any other promotion. Like, it's not a sports team. Like, these are companies, you know? Like, no one has brand loyalty. It's like having brand loyalty to Raw or SmackDown if you're a WWE fan. Like, no one has that shit. Why is anybody upset that she signed with WWE? Like, that's what she wanted. She She took the money. She took whatever they were offering. Who knows? It was obviously seemingly better than AEW's offer, even if it wasn't. Like, that's where she wanted to be. She talked about being in WWE for years and how it was like a dream for her.
Yeah, go back and read interviews. She's talked about it several times.
Like, I don't know the details of the Mercedes Martinez deal, but based on kind of what's out there, is it's basically going to be a player coach type thing where she's going to come in, she'll probably do some TV stuff, but whenever she wants, she transitions into the coach because she's a very well respected veteran in the locker room who always works hard, still has great matches despite being 39, 40 years old. In AEW, I don't know if they were offering her anything like that. Like, they've got Awesome Kong as kind of their women's coach, and I don't know if they were offering her, like, they create these full-time positions so you get like health benefits and stuff like that. They may have just wanted her to like be a wrestler,
or maybe Mercedes Martinez just has fucking eyes and saw the Nightmare Collective and said, "Fuck off." I'm going to live in Orlando.
That's a very real possibility, actually, that she just saw that and was like, nope, I'm out. Sorry.
No, I'm super happy for her. I really am. If that's exactly what she wants, I think it's great. She's more than earned it. And Steve Cook and I talked about this stuff years ago because, like, Bryan Danielson got that backlash when he signed. And Steve and I at the time were like, listen, this is a guy that has put on a portfolio of some of the world's best matches for a stretch of time. He had a lot of injuries banging up. Signed with WWE. He's going to get more money. He's going to be in a better situation. And then look at the whole arc for him. He ended up with a great WrestleMania moment. He met his wife there. He has a child. He's financially stable. He had to quit for a while, was able to come back. I mean, I think it's worked out pretty well for Bryan. So it's like, if that's the choice they make, I mean, let these people make a choice. But I'm very happy for Mercedes Martinez, and she, like you said, still has great matches. Last year, she made my top matches of the year list. She had an excellent match with David Starr for Beyond Wrestling that I absolutely loved. So yeah, I mean, she can still go and everything, and she's like, to me, she's the kind of person you bring in. She's like Cassius Ohno, because if she wants to work a little bit and she's going to do that player coach thing, you could do a lot worse than somebody like her, because when she worked the Mae Young Classic, she actually, according to all reports, she flew herself to Orlando specifically to work with Xia Li, just to make sure Xia Li had a good match in that tournament with her. And to me, that says a lot about her. So I think it's a great hire, and I'm very happy for her.
Yeah, you don't see many people say bad words about Mercedes Martinez, especially the women who are in the business. She seems very well liked, very well respected, and fans are just weird when it comes to this stuff. Like, they're probably Mercedes Martinez fans, but they only are fans because they wanted to see her in AEW. Like, it's just dumb. Like, if you're a fan of this person, who cares where she goes? Be happy for her.
Yeah. I mean, generally, like, am I a little sad that she signed? It's like, yeah, only because I'm not going to see her, like, in Shimmer and Beyond and places like that. But, I mean, that's just me. I mean, and that doesn't fucking matter. What matters is whatever choice she made, and as long as she's happy. So good for her, man. She's wanted this for a long time. So, anyway, back to NXT and women's action. Mia Yim defeated Kaden Carter, 3:45 via pin. A perfectly okay little match, I thought, serving as a nice rebound win for Mia Yim while also kicking off a post-match angle, which we'll talk about in a second. I think Kaden Carter has a lot of potential. She's very unrefined so far, and just somebody that's going to need some more time to develop. But the post-match angle, Jeremy, was Chelsea Green making her NXT debut officially as a full-time looking character here, attacking Kaden Carter, dumping Mia Yim, and that also led to the former Robbie E, Robert Stone, making his debut, the Robert Stone brand, and said he had started signing with his brand up with the hottest free agent in Chelsea Green. Your thoughts on the whole segment match and afterward here?
The match wasn't much. Mia Yim winning is the right call. Like, it was fine. I like Kaden Carter's kind of look. I think she certainly looks like a superstar. She's obviously not getting any type of big push right now, while Mia Yim is still kind of in that mix. We talked about the women like Dakota Kai, Tegan Knox. Like, they weren't used in that first segment, and they're still there too.
It's embarrassment of fucking riches, man.
It really, really is. So yeah, the match was what it was. It was a backdrop for the big angle at the end where Chelsea Green comes out and she's on NXT. I did like that Robert Stone is like, she was a free agent. That's why she was on Raw. Now she's on NXT and I've signed her. So I did like that they did offer an explanation for that. And I like Robert Stone. I'm glad they're finally using him on television. Hopefully this means the great Malcolm Bivens will be used on television as a manager at some point, because they've had these guys under contract for months now, and they've been doing the manager gimmicks at the live events, but we haven't seen it on TV. So this is a step in the right direction. I hope Chelsea is still with Deonna Purrazzo. I don't know what's going to happen with them, but I hope they're not broken up, because that's a very real life friendship and a team that, they got the same graphics and stuff. Like, it'd feel weird to break them up right now.
Yes. And I'm with you on Malcolm Bivens. Give me Big Stoke on TV, God damn it.
Did you watch the bump today?
Yes, the Kevin Owens FaceTime.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tweeted about that today because I normally don't watch it, but I was in the middle of writing and I needed something to kind of listen to. And Kevin Owens was so good on that show, by the way. But yeah, he called up Malcolm Bivens on FaceTime, and it was pretty funny.
Yeah, Owens was great, but the Malcolm Bivens is so good. Like, anything he does is just super entertaining. So, yeah, hopefully this means he'll be on TV pretty soon, because that's a guy who's got a cult following and who's just entertaining in every single segment he's in.
I've been saying it since they signed him. You put him on TV, he is instantly going to be the best promo on whatever program he's on.
Yeah, you pair him with the right people. I don't even know if he needs the right people. He just needs somebody.
So, but yeah, good for Chelsea getting TV here and stuff. It's very good for her. Got another Ciampa promo focusing on Adam Cole being NXT champion and how the legacy of the title is tainted because he was never beaten for the championship, and Ciampa's title was just handed to Cole.
These Ciampa promos were good.
Yeah.
That's clearly what they're setting up at some point. I don't know if they're going to go Portland for that, because now I almost feel like Portland is too soon. I know
feels like Mania weekend to me still.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's more of a Mania weekend match, and we'll see what Adam Cole is doing. I mean, maybe Ciampa wins some type of number one contender match in Portland, or pins Cole in a tag team match or something. Who knows? But yeah, that certainly feels like a Mania weekend match to me as well.
And it's not a shock that WWE video packages are very good. I think it's going to be news when we start getting bad WWE video packages. Yeah,
NXT does them really well. Like, the lead up stuff to Ripley and Baszler was amazing. Like, we don't see it enough on the main roster. I guess NXT, but Raw and SmackDown, like, we really don't see it enough on those, like, these profile pieces like this. Like, Raw and SmackDown video package are just a lot of, like, recap stuff. And, like, those video packages are fine. But, like, when they do these profile pieces like this, it adds so much to the character, the story, the show, just everything.
Yeah, really good stuff. Like, you brought up Shayna and Rhea, that like the Prime Target they did. The NXT UK episode this week is basically just the Prime Target special, which the last one they did for Bate and Walter was so amazing.
Yeah.
So it's again, like you said, that's a lot. And apparently Jeremy Borash has a lot to do with those. And I know there's other people too, but yeah, just again, another area the company obviously excels at. Next week, we're getting a Women's Battle Royal to determine Rhea Ripley's opponent for NXT TakeOver Portland, as well as the next two Dusty Tag Team Classic matches. So we have that set for next week. And then our main event, Keith Lee, Cameron Grimes, Dominik Dijakovic, and Damian Priest fighting for the right to face Roderick Strong for the NXT North American Championship. Big Keith Lee won the match, 14 minutes via pin. I thought they had a very good match. Thought it was the best thing on the show wrestling-wise. Keith Lee, to me, was the right winner. He had previously pinned Strong in a match. The win here cements that spot. I thought everybody got some time to shine. And I thought Grimes got to look good as well. I was a little worried that he was going to be a little lost in the shuffle just because out of the 4, he was the least pushed. But I was very glad to see he got some nice, really, really big shine spots in this match. I thought it was deliberate. Again, it wasn't like a next-level must-see main event, but it was really good, and to me, the best thing on the show.
How dare you think they were going to job out the man Cameron Grimes in his sweet hat?
I just thought that, like, out of the 4, he's the one that wasn't featured the most, and I was afraid he would be one of those guys that get lost in the shuffle. Like, we needed a 4th guy. Grab the hat guy. You know?
That's fair. It was a well laid out match. As you said, everybody got some shine. Not spectacular, but nothing wrong with it either. Keith Lee, the correct winner. Very happy that they didn't screw that up and try to, he didn't get pinned, but he still lost type of deal. Like, give him his match. Now they're almost booked in a weird position because they want to keep running with this Undisputed Era as all champions thing, but like this feels like Keith Lee's time coming off of that Survivor Series, and I think they like even waited too long coming off of Survivor Series because he was in that tag team title match where he lost. He didn't get pinned, but like he lost in that match, and this feels like Keith Lee's time, and I hope he gets the title in 2 weeks. Yeah, as far as the match goes, like, it was good, not great. Yeah, the best thing on the show, but it wasn't like the spectacular go out of your way right now to see it like we see a lot of times on both NXT and AEW.
Yep, so that is going to lead us to the big head-to-head comparison time, Jeremy, and if you don't mind, I would go first, sir.
Sure.
I thought this week's AEW Dynamite was definitely a step backwards from last week's show, which we both greatly enjoyed and thought was a big step in the right direction, a course correction, so to speak. I thought overall it was the weakest show to date for the company. I didn't think it was a bad show by any means. There was some good wrestling, some fine angle advancement, especially like Moxley and Jericho. But we had some bad finishes, some bland in-ring at times. The flat DDP segment, and then just that fucking Nightmare Collective stuff just killed the crowd, and just I was like, I guess the best way to put it is I thought AEW was like average at best, completely forgettable, and honestly, if you DVR'd it and haven't watched it, you could skip AEW this week without missing a beat, and I don't think you'd feel bad. On the other hand, I thought NXT was a good and consistent show. They continued building the women's division. The Dusty Classic started. We got Gargano versus Balor set up, Lee versus Strong set up, Ripley versus Storm set up, and it was overall consistent in the ring all night. So while it might not look like a greater special show on paper, I think that good, consistent, and effective TV will always be appreciated and wins out the night for me. I go NXT this week.
Dynamite sucked. I'm just going to say it. It was not a good show. The only thing memorable was the Jericho Moxley segment, and even that went a little bit too long to me. The wrestling was fine. There was like nothing wrong with it, but it didn't have that blowaway match or anything like that. And then it just had the flat out bad stuff with the Pentagon interference, the Nightmare Collective nonsense, the Dark Order stuff. Like, we're comparing it to the Nightmare Collective stuff, and so it doesn't look as bad as comparison, but it still is not good stuff. The DDP promo wasn't good. Like, it was definitely their weakest show. This is the first week where I just feel like this show was not good. It didn't have my interest for a lot of it. Like, I was just watching. I was like, nothing feels like it's happening on this show. NXT was good, like not great. I do think they lost a little bit of momentum with the essentially 2 weeks off. Now the Christmas episode did have some matches, but they were pretty inconsequential. And then last week was just an award show. So I do think they lost a little bit of momentum there. They tried to kind of get back and regain the momentum here with the Keith Lee match, and couple of the Dusty Classic stuff, and then the embarrassment of riches in the tag team division. There wasn't anything bad on it, I wouldn't say, especially when you compare it to AEW, but at the same time there wasn't anything where it's like, oh yeah, this was really, really strong, go out of your way to see it. So NXT won, but neither show felt like they felt previously, where we're just praising both of them and it's really tough to pick. I don't feel like this was that tough to pick, but mainly because AEW was that bad to me compared to NXT, where just like, oh, it blew them out of the water. It was just more of AEW just wasn't a good show.
NXT didn't do anything stupid that pissed you off was its big thing.
Yeah, pretty much.
So that's the head-to-head for the week. And
who wins the ratings?
What's that?
Who wins the ratings?
This
is a tough one.
I kind of think AEW is going to end up winning just because, NXT had that lower rating because of the best of last week, and I don't know if there's going to be a big rush for people to jump back into it, maybe. I'm not saying that AEW is going to win because it was superior. It's just that I don't know if they're going to get a big bump from the 500 and whatever thousand they had to overtake AEW, because I think AEW had a really strong show last week, and that should in theory, retain their audience better.
Yeah, I agree that this definitely feels like an AEW week, simply because of last week where AEW's show was very strong and NXT just did an award special. So, what do you really expect out of that? I think next week is almost more interesting because NXT showed like, all right, we're back, we're consistent, we're good. This felt like a AEW show that ran off viewers, especially some of their core fans who want nothing to do with this Nightmare Collective and Dark Order stuff.
I agree completely. Yeah, I think next week will definitely be more telling, because it's just some of the stuff on this show was very off-putting, I think, for the core audience they're going after. And I mean, some people were to say, well, it's not just the, people like you that want the show to be a certain way. And it's like, yeah, you know what? But I also think people don't like stupid shit. And the fucking Nightmare Collective, NXT, like I said, there was nothing spectacular about NXT. But it was consistent, it was good, and it was an effective show. It set up things, that you have the Dusty Classic continuing next week and stuff like that. And it's just... I think AEW wins, but it'll be a very hollow victory as the show was not very good. So, anything else to add before we?
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
That's right. All right, are you done with your ratings talk now?
Yeah, I'm done with the ratings talk.
All right, well,
ratings are very important. That's what everyone wants to talk about, Larry.
All right, well, fair enough. Okay, so in closing, we do have one last thing to talk about. For everybody, we just want to let you know that he'll probably appear later on, but for the time being, this is going to be Jeremy's last show as a regular co-host. Jeremy, you can elaborate as much as you want, but Jeremy's going to be going on and doing some other things and spending time, more importantly, with his wife. So there will be a little bit of changes going forward. I'll be having some other people on, maybe some solo shows from time to time. But Jeremy, I do want to thank you for all the time, which has been a lot of time that you've put in. And you are my friend and everything, and I greatly appreciate it. And I will miss talking to you every week.
Well, I mean, we can still talk. You have my phone number, so it's not like we don't have to stop talking.
You're dead to me, Jeremy. God damn it.
My schedule is changing with a lot of things, and I have to unfortunately cut back in some areas, and this is an area where I felt I had to cut back, unfortunately, and it has nothing to do with Larry, obviously, because Larry is, as he said, we are good friends. I've watched the G1 at Larry's house and stayed over plenty of times, so I hope we're not losing any type of friendship off of that.
No, we're good, buddy.
But yeah, I just had to make some changes to my overall schedule, and spending time with my wife is very important. Having my mental time and my downtime is also very important to me as well, and I don't feel like I got enough of that throughout 2019, and so I'm changing that for the better in 2020 as well. I do want to thank Larry for just having me on this show every week because it's fun to talk to Larry, guys. Larry, I will say it every single time. No one reviews as much wrestling as consistently, as fairly as Larry does. I think he is the absolute best when it comes to that. His work ethic is second to none. I know he doesn't sleep. I've seen the man not sleep. So I love talking wrestling with Larry because I know he knows what the fuck he's talking about. And sometimes I don't feel like I know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I thank you for always allowing me on this show. As I said, anytime you need me to come back and make a guest appearance, I have no problem doing that because I always enjoy talking to you. I just got to make a couple of changes, and I want to thank everybody for listening because I guess they're going well. People keep tuning in to hear us talk. I know Larry is the big draw, but thank you everybody for listening and tuning in because it's fun. I like especially these Wednesday shows. These Wednesday shows are maybe not tonight, but you were fired up tonight, actually, so that was fun. These Wednesday shows are very fun. But thanks, everybody, and thank you again to Larry and 411, even though I'm not leaving 411. But thanks to just, everyone. And it is a sad... We need to play Leave the Memories Alone.
I would, but I don't want to get nailed by the copyright police.
That's fair.
So, but no, seriously, I do thank you. You are my buddy, and I'm gonna have to go Jerry Jones, I think, and have a sleepover to try to recruit new co-hosts. Because apparently it worked with you, because you hung out and my wife made you sweet tea and we cooked for you and you stayed here and we watched the G1 and fuck, we went to Bella. Here's the best one. You guys probably don't understand. The best thing is Jeremy and I. We were friends, we were talking online, and we decided we were going to go to Bellator to cover it for 411 because it was here in Charlotte at the Bojangles Arena.
Yeah.
Not only did we go to Bellator to cover it, we went to Bellator on Valentine's Day.
That's true. That's very true. We spent a Valentine's Day together watching fucking Bellator of all things. And oh, I remember that terrible heavyweight fight.
It looked like the two guys from the bar on the street fighting. Yes, it was amazing.
They legitimately just picked two dudes at the bar down the street and were just like, hey, we got a show tonight. You guys just want to come fight on it for $500? And they're like, yeah, sure. We'll fight on this. Oh, what a show that was. But yeah, we spent Valentine's Day together instead of, I don't know if I was dating my current wife at the time. You were married, but yeah, we've had some good times, and hopefully plenty more to come.
Jeremy has watched Frozen and Katy Perry with my daughters, and
that's the only time I've watched Frozen was with you and your daughters. I'd never seen it before then, and I haven't seen it since.
See, I'm putting smiles on people's faces. Is what I do.
Pitch Perfect. I'd seen that plenty of times.
Oh yeah, but I mean that has great rewatch value though. So
yes, it does.
So, but no, in all honesty, like I said, thank you, Jeremy. I do appreciate it, man. And yeah, Jeremy will be back at some point. It's not going to be as regular as we were doing. So that's going to wrap us up for tonight, everybody. This was the 411 on Wrestling Podcast. You can follow us on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, YouTube, the 411mania.com website, any major podcasting platform. Please make sure to subscribe to our show. Share us around on social media. Call your mom, call your family, call your granny, post it on Facebook, do something. Help a brother out. Get me to the pay window. We appreciate it. And we will talk to you guys later on.